Good evening, everyone. I'm going to give it a few minutes to allow people to join the live. But thank you for joining us on to close the Welcome Week with a virtual spoken word event. I'm going to give it a few minutes to allow people to get in, and I'll go ahead and introduce the night. I might try to play some music for you guys.
I am light, I am light. I am not the things my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. 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 I am light, I am light. I'm not the mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that cause me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light.
Okay, just a little bit of India Ari to start us out. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I'm hoping you guys. My name is Amber Sunda. I am from the representative of Tusk, and I have the pleasure of introducing you to tonight's performers and theme. Um, so, as you can see behind me, culture, a theme that bridges differences, is tonight's theme. Culture is one of those concepts that even scholars of the field of anthropology find difficult to define. One of the most widely accepted definitions of culture is that of distinguished anthropologist Clifford Geertz, in which he describes culture as a system of inherited conceptions expressed in symbolic forms by means of which people communicate, perpetuate, and develop their knowledge about attitudes and towards life. From that, we can say culture and what it means, as well as what value it holds, is different to each and every one of us, but we can recognize that culture is learned, adaptive, and can be shared. With tonight's theme of culture, a theme that bridges differences, we hope that everyone is able to step outside of our familiar worlds and see that people do things in different ways, but with common themes. We hope to draw upon the connections we may share, as well as allowing space to respect and recognize differences we may have, all in hopes of building bridges of understanding. Tonight's dynamic poetry tellers, tonight's dynamic poetic storytellers are Yao Cheramitin, Aman K. Batra, Segovia Lucas, and all of which will touch upon topics including identity, family, immigration, activism, and intersectional feminism. We hope that you enjoy this dynamic night of storytelling and walk away with a better breadth of cultural understanding. Now allow me to introduce our first performer, Segovia Lucas. Segovia Lucas is a first-year student here at Tufts University. She was born in Boston, Massachusetts, but moved around a lot and calls many places home. Segovia has been writing poetry for over 3 years now and is a proud alumna of Little Rock Central High School's Righteous Poets group. Segovia has competed in the NAACP's Afro-Academic, Cultural, Technological, and Scientific Olympics, the Thea Foundation Scholarship Competition, and multiple foreign tongues competitions for slam poetry. Segovia has also hosted numerous poetry workshops and published 4 of her poems. Segovia's work mainly centers around societal criticisms and aims to push the envelope in order to bring to the forefront the difficult conversations surrounding them. She hopes to shed light on these societal issues and aid in making a better tomorrow. Please join me in welcoming our first performer and fellow Tufts student, Segovia Lucas.
Hello, everyone. My name is Segovia Lucas. Thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you for Tufts for putting together this event. I'm super duper excited to share poetry with you guys, and yeah, so I'll just kind of get straight into it. So the first poem I wrote is called Burnt Crayons, and it was my response to the George Floyd shooting like earlier this summer, and it was really, really hard for me to write. This is no joke, probably one of the hardest poems I ever had to write. I had to redraft it and I wanted it to be perfect. And I still don't feel like it is perfect, but I feel like that's something about art, but I feel like it says what I want it to say. So I hope you guys enjoy it. For generations, ignorance has been celebrated. The more you can successfully push down and disassociate from the colored parts, the worst parts of America, the easier life becomes. Separate but equal, I believe, is the term that they used to use. We were taught not to rock the boat, to keep the fragile ignorance. If injustices are seen and experienced, don't ask, don't tell is written on the minds of every minority, because that is the American dream. Fragile ignorance that protects a broken system. A melting pot should not be the goal. You know what happens when you melt a rainbow pack of crayons? You get brown. You ruin every single color to cover up not wanting to deal with injustices by saying, I don't see color. But now we have burnt crayons, which is useless because robbing a box of crayons of its identity solely not to deal with the issues that come with having so many colors, cultures, and ideology, it's lazy. And it's whitewashing when convenient. Ever since I could remember, my skin was diseased. Self-drawn portraits in elementary school, I had to be jaundiced. My choices were skin color, rich brown, burnt yellow, or I could have just left it blank. Not dealing with the question of why I couldn't find myself in a rainbow box of crayons. Was I not wanted here? Was I a mistake? Was I a mix of forbidden colors that ruined the perfect color of white? That's at least what they told my grandparents. I always chose yellow. Little did I know that was my ancestral nickname of mulatto slaves who worked inside. Little did I know my liver was not aware of the systematic failure it would face being colored in a world that was trying to drain its own color. I came to realize that a box of white crayons only work on black paper. That means to be effective, the color white can only thrive on a black foundation. White crayons don't work on white paper, so society had to find a reason to break down minorities to build up white prosperity. Minorities have been broken, burned, and remelted so many times, and it had to forget their culture to survive in the American dream. And now we have burnt crayons. So that's the first one. I really like that poem because it just kind of talks about kind of we're trying to reach for a melting pot, but it's not about color blindness, but more like color appreciation. And I feel like that's something like I wish society would like kind of realize. So the second poem is entitled School Failed Us. And I wrote it in high school because I was just really fed up with the way the system kind of, there's so many things coming after us to be good students, to be overachievers, that it kind of distracts us from being good citizens. And I feel like that was something like maybe even purposefully done for people just to kind of go with the flow and go with the system and not really ask questions. So I wrote this poem called School Failed Us. School failed us. Every single one of us. Why didn't school come with a trigger warning, may cause anxiety and depression? No one told us walking into it. That some would feel like failures and others would be glorified because my confidence is supposed to rely on a standardized test. The ability to comprehend materials that are supposed to set us up for success but end up tearing us down, making my talents impractical and inferior to the people who fit in the 90th percentile. Standard means something established by an authority, custom, or general consent as a model or an example. We tell kids that they should stand out, but we stuff them back into an academic box. We say America needs to catch up with the rest of the world. While education budgets dwindle lower and lower, but classrooms only overflow. We expect Common Core to save kids, but maybe that's the problem. Who or what is common, and why does that have to be everyone's core? We are told to focus on school. As you cannot get a stable job without the minimum of a college education, but everything comes at a cost. I hope my cost isn't $300,000, and with $300,000, I invested so that I can learn about what white men did. I mean, what's really important in history, and to write papers with enough PC terminology that people actually think that I believe what they're thinking, to solve math equations of calculus, and to sit through class after class that has nothing to do with my major, just so that I can pay for college's sports programs. I mean, new innovative majors, all in the solid diet of coffee, Jell-O, and the odd ramen. All school has programmed us to do is to follow the Common Core. When I was little, I was taught to sleep through the sirens of society. They told us that homework comes first and relationships come second, because your parents don't go, your social life is slipping, no homework for 2 weeks. We are told that homework comes first and relationships come second. Society values grades over being a human being, telling me the things that happen on TV is normal, like that there were more important things, like research papers, finals, and AP exams, things that society makes so prevalent. So you can't worry about the world around you when you're too busy worrying about yourself. I slept through all the alarms. 17 people died in Parkland, Florida, school shooting, snooze. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor shot, dead, snooze. 1 in 5 kids in the US starve every day, snooze. Over 50% of the world lives on less than $10 a day, snooze. The button works, but then you become immune to the reading, the ringing. We are buried under book after book at the start of every year. Endless lines for our parents to sign away our conscience, because that we are told that what is in that textbook is more important. They tell us to stay in the lines, to dot our I's and cross our T's and make sure everything matches the line of being oblivious. So school, before you fail me, I fail you for teaching me that for not teaching me that people are more important than myself, for teaching me how to write an APA before teaching me empathy, for teaching me that volunteering is only for college applications, and for brainwashing me to think that a grade will determine my whole life. School, you failed me. So there's that one. Okay, let's see. So the next one is actually the first poem I ever wrote. And it is called To the Girl Who Would Be Pretty When She's Older. It's based off of my experiences when I was bullied as a kid. And basically I wrote a poem to the bullies and like what I imagine they go through. And I kind of viewed it from a different perspective, because obviously like in a way they kind of sparked my poetry career. So it's like, I'm appreciative, but you know, I feel like just realizing that like hurt people. And I wrote it from that perspective of like, what happened behind the scenes with them versus like how I was able to get over it. So to the girl who would be pretty when she's older, to the girl who was asked out as a truth or dare, to the girl who was left by her only friends by the stinging last line of like God says, I could never tell a lie, to the people who mocked me for my joy, race, religion, and the way I speak, and some people just simply mocked me for being me. To the people who told me I was nothing so I could feel their pain, to the people who would cry out by shouting aggression and verbal abuse, tied to every single tear they cried a night before into an empty room, to the people who feel so locked in their emotions that they try to bring you down with them, I thank you. Because you made me who I am today. How could you hate someone who hates themselves so much? The people who etch their regrets into their skin, the people who try to cover up their tears with pills, the people who cannot control their pain so they overflow when people get burned, but they can't help that they feel this way because they feel like they're drowning while everyone else is living and prospering, and they want that. They long for the darkness to stop. They're stuck waiting for a rainbow after a flood that never seems to end, and no one can help them, so they hide behind their words, feeding off the pain of others, trying to find strength and power from snatching happiness from the innocent, and condemning them to hopelessness, hoping that someone will understand their pain, finding their victims so that they can carry on one day more before they don't want to live anymore. To the girl who would be pretty when she's older, words can be erased, but scars cannot. Pain can heal, but self-hatred cannot. Trust can be brought back, but lives cannot. People who've been bullied can bounce back, but sometimes the bully cannot, and they will never tell you how much it hurts. They will never share their regret. They will only let the darkness seep deeper into their head, silently suffering, pain etching away at their humanity, feeling like falling on their knees, but they would never show it because they know what they said. They remember every word and they leave it alone and let the guilt spread. So they turn to bottles, hoping that they can wash it away, realizing that they're wasting away, becoming one with the pain, hoping that they can save themselves before it's too late. No one tells you how the bully feels. I can only imagine victims can heal, but they're stuck in an asylum of regret. No one tells you what happens when they're alone. No one tells you what happens when the lights go out. No one tells you what they're thinking. And no one tells you how they feel. Okay. So that was that one. I really like that poem. It just always feels like home. Like I was doing a competition in February and I started off like super rocky and I did that one and it just felt like home since it was like my first poem and like I really, really liked it. So, okay. So moving right along. This is a poem, actually, probably one of my more recent poems. So I wrote it for a poetry competition I had in February at the Thea Foundation, and it's called And You're Watching Disney Channel. And basically, I wrote it about the subliminal messages that I feel like Disney sends through the lack of diversity, and basically the messages that I fear that little girls actually get by the lack of diversity. So I hope you guys like it. If curly equals bad, dark equals bad, and different equals bad, then Disney, what am I? Disney princesses have always lacked in the diversity department. They haven't exactly sent the best message to color girls like me, like beauty being as white as snow, Native Americans being savages, and naturally curly hair being an act of frizzy rebellion, all wrapped up in the lines of, hi, my name is, and you're watching Disney Channel. Disney princesses never had brilliantly kinky hair. Pocahontas didn't exactly run off into the sunset. Tiana wasn't just a seamstress for the heck of it. Disney erases parts of history that make people uncomfortable to make it a little bit more land of the free friendly, but history is being ignored in whitewashed animations that just keep us in a cycle of chosen ignorance. Hi, my name is Segovia Lucas, and you're watching Disney Channel. I love Disney princesses. Their voices light up rooms, their footsteps cause flowers to bloom. I want to be swept away by my Prince Charming. I want to be a Disney princess when I grow up. I want to be a delicate flower with the softest European features. I want to be the definition of femininity. Blonde hair and blue eyes, because that's how I get a prince, right? Oh, Silly me, Belle is a brunette. Hi, my name is Segovia Lucas, and you're watching Disney Channel. I want to look like a Disney princess. I wish for my hair to be straight, without it taking 4 hours. I wish to feel my hair down my back and my ponytail balanced while I'm in a carriage riding off into the sunset, and not just for my hair to lay limp from chemical abuse. I wish for my melanin to be as white as snow, because white is beauty. Hi, my name is Segovia Lucas, and you're watching Disney Channel. I want to be a Disney princess. I wish for my melanin to be drained from my skin, because my skin wasn't made for blue ball gowns, but it was made to work the fields that produced their beauty. Hi, my name is Segovia Lucas, and you're watching Disney Channel. I love Disney princesses because they're beautiful. I want to be a delicate flower with the softest European features. I want to be the definition of femininity. I want blonde hair, I want blue eyes, I want to wear the dresses that put my ancestors into slavery, because that's what everyone else has. And that's the only way to get a man to love me, and that's the only way to get a happy ending, when white equals right and straight equals great and beauty equals purpose. I want to be beautiful. I want to be beautiful, Disney. I want to be beautiful. Tell me I'm beautiful, Disney. Why am I not beautiful, Disney? What am I? Okay, so there's that poem. So the next poem, let's see. So the next poem is another poem in a similar vein. So it's called Sea Talent, and I competed this at the NAACP on the national level. I competed it for AXO, which is a program for people who are 13 to, I think, college freshmen. And this poem is called Sea Talent, and it's basically talking about basically the social construct for women and how, you know, we're basically just set up by the media and by the system to be a certain way, and just me kind of commenting about that. So, okay. We were born to be pinned against each other. All the media has taught us is that we can't get along. We were wired for jealousy to run through our veins, and our minds to have six packs from jumping to conclusions. We were taught that we would crumble if we wouldn't have a man by our side. We were taught that man equals woman and woman equals man, but we were never taught that woman equals enough. We were told that our own company wasn't enough, that I'm not enough for me. We were taught to hang our loneliness from wall to wall. We were told if we didn't present ourselves in just the right way, no one would love us. So we crushed our voices till they echoed with unfamiliarity, until we couldn't even notice they were our own anymore. It's a talent that takes years to develop, hours of it's fine, I'm fine, I'm happy if you're happy, but they were really just masking the save me's, the hear me's, that I haven't seen the real me until I played with my Barbies. See, talent. Hiding all these things behind what is supposed to be my world, because makeup, everyone talks about makeup and clothes. Everyone talks about clothes and shoes. Everyone talks about shoes. See, talent. And just like that, it's covered up. Just like that, lifelong insecurities are boxed away like fleeting thoughts, and then they're gone. See, talent. Until they come back to haunt you in your counseling sessions 30 years later. I guess if one woman's stereotype is true, is that we don't forget. We were taught that we only had one role: to procreate. Our feelings were sold away with our dowries, and our consent sold away with a drink, because who needs a yes when you're wasted? Who needs dignity and respect when the powder in your drink will erase all the moments of terror and leave you with nothing but holes in your memories? Our bodies were always over-sexualized. The only clothes available to us is form-fitting crop tops or short shorts. We don't have a choice anymore. Our bodies belong to the public now, to be ripped apart from exploited insecurities and stitched back together with shallow compliments. We were products of our environment. And while society got its entertainment, we got dress coded for being inappropriate, but that's what being a woman is. that's what we were taught that femininity was, an exploitation of our body for the approval of others. And that is the message we're sending to the next generation of little girls. And just like that, a tradition is followed. And it's followed from generation to generation. See, talent. All right. So this next poem is also like a really, really old poem. So this is my second to last poem. So it is called Colorblind. And I basically wrote this in the vein of the I don't see color being a hurtful kind of phrase. And being colorblind is not what we should strive for, but we should strive to appreciate colors. And it's kind of in a similar vein of burnt crayons. But it's basically just me talking about how erasing colors, it will do us more harm than good. So let's see. Okay. Colorblind. It doesn't mean what it used to. Trying to fight through stereotypes and race to find the person who's inside, but that comes at a double-edged sword. When you cut the race, you also cut the culture, language, and generations that were before them. We try so desperately to blur the lines that some things get lost in translation. No one likes to see how beautiful culture, race, and gender are. No one likes to acknowledge that some stereotypes come from a dark past. Everyone tries to make it equal, but it's not. And in my generation and beyond, it may never be. We try to make everyone be a carbon copy of one another, but who are we making everyone into? Who is the perfect human that everyone should be compared to? What is the perfect race or standard that everyone should be held to? Who or what are we crushing in the process? We seek so desperately to be colorblind, we lose all the differences we tried to cherish so dearly. We flatten the hills and we crush the stars to succeed this dream. We tell people how to behave and how to think simply by the way they look, that they shouldn't act like themselves, but everyone else. A complex of normal purely made from an invisible societal standard no one wants to follow, but magically everyone does. And no one questions it. Why don't we celebrate differences instead of trying to make everyone the same? Color appreciation instead of color blindness, because the world was not made in color. The world was made in color, not in black, white, or gray. Color appreciation isn't racism, and it's not offensive. It's seeing people for who they are, not broken fragments of political correctness and the fear of offending. It's people shouldn't be afraid of color, but embrace the intricate details that come with every shade and tone, because we are all different, but we live in the same world. And all those tones enrich the earth around us, telling stories and introducing new and old ideas to the next generation. We shouldn't crush it, but let it flourish and decorate the earth. Because the earth was made in color, not black and white. So what's the point of being colorblind? Okay, so now we are at my last poem of the night. So it is called Goodbye America, which is interesting. But basically, I kind of had a moment, not gonna lie, where just everything annoyed me. And I wrote a poem about everything that annoyed me. So I just basically was looking at some, I feel like, cultural and character flaws that I feel like America has. And this is basically a poem about me ranting about that. So that's my last poem of the night. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Okay. We live in a society that would rather be in a grave than alive. People are constantly making jokes like they don't want to be here anymore. Schools are prisons of conditioning where creativity goes to die. Why are we trying to rationalize wrong and make it seem right? Don't you see we tolerate? To rationalize our own flawed conscience, hoping that one day, if we chant the same mantra, it'll be more than just the same. That life will be breathed back into dead words and hope to drown the hate of our society with toxic love, guilt, and insecurity. We surround ourselves by self-created fear. It's funny how we call that education. We rape kids of their innocence by having school drill after school drill and news only showing violence to act as an usher of a new era of civil war. Stop lying. You're just ripping apart people's emotions and sending them into survival mode. Who are you helping? How many more schools, mosques, churches, and men need to be shot up before you realize that the news is just an instigator to rip this country apart, but we fall back into the cycle because we are a generation of weak leaders, no opinions to be found, just empty vessels filled with the knowledge of out-of-date textbook, words on pages that meant nothing to us. We are thoughtless followers whose words pour out like noise pollution, no direction, no purpose, just floundering, lost in an ocean of misguided comments, but people don't realize their words are like glass, crafted by cult-like convictions and misguided purpose, sounding more like a broken record than a conscious human being. Static words behind blank eyes that mean nothing to the user, but all that does is send shards into the nation. Goodbye, America. This will be your downfall. People using their phones to be fearless instead of having homegrown convictions, disrespect. No one listens. Everyone's lost in their own worlds on a path leading to nowhere. No conscience. Everyone operates at the beat of their own drum, hoping that one more division and one more comfort will somehow unite us all. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it crumbles, two nations forsaking God, a broken nation with no compromise and fear of the future for all. So that was the end of my poetry set. That was the end of my poetry set. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I have a poetry Instagram and a personal Instagram. So my personal Instagram is at the Life of Segovia. My poetry Instagram is at That Poet Segovia. Segovia is spelled the same way in the banners here. Thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to share poems, and thank you for tuning in so late, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the apps. Have a good night.
Hi, everyone. That was beautiful, Segovia. Thank you so much for finding the time to perform for us. As I stated earlier, Segovia is the first year here at Tufts. So yeah, she's starting off to a great foot. We're performing. Let's take a brief intermission, or actually let me repeat the intro for those of you who are just joining in. I know a couple people came in late. I know you see that the theme is culture, a theme that bridges differences. I'm going to go ahead and share with you kind of like where that came from again, in case you missed it at the beginning. So culture is one of those concepts that even scholars in the field of anthropology find difficult to define. One of the most widely accepted definitions of culture is that of distinguished anthropologist Clifford Geertz, in which he describes culture as a system of inherited conceptions expressed in symbolic forms, by means of which people communicate, perpetuate, and develop their knowledge about and attitudes towards life. So from that definition, we can say that culture and what it means, as well as what value it holds, is different to each and every one of us. But we can recognize that culture is learned, it is adaptive, and it can be shared. With tonight's theme of culture, a theme that bridges differences, we hope that everyone is able to step outside of their familiar world and see that people do things in different ways, but with common themes. We hope to draw upon the connections we may share, as well as allowing space to respect and recognize differences we may have, all in hopes to build bridges of understanding. Tonight's featured dynamic poetic storytellers are y'all, Cheramatine, Aman K. Batra, and Segovia Lucas, who just performed and did an amazing job. And they will touch upon topics related to identity, family, immigration, activism, and intersectional feminism. We hope that you enjoy this dynamic night of storytelling and walk away with a better breadth of cultural understanding.
I know. Okay.
Sorry about that brief intermission, y'all. I hope I still have your attention. So I'd like to go ahead and introduce our second performer, Iman Batra. Iman K. Batra is an Indian-American poet from Artesia, California. She graduated from UCLA in 2014 with a degree in creative writing and has since built her career in written and performance poetry. Iman is a National Poetry Slam finalist, a member of the 2016 and 2017 Hollywood Slam team, and a teaching artist in Los Angeles and Long Beach County. Her work has been featured on All Deaf Poetry, Button Poetry, Vibe, and the Huffington Post. Iman Batra is heavily tied to her work as an educator, activist, and an intersectional feminist, pushing the envelope in her dissection of personal and political identity. Please welcome Iman to the stage.
Hi, everyone. Just a thumbs up that I can be seen and that I'm being heard okay before I get into this. Okay, perfect. So thank you for the intro. My name is Aman. I am a couple of hours behind, so if there was a delay, that's my bad. Just operating off of Western Standard Time right now, or Pacific Standard Time, and just doing the best we can in this apocalyptic era. All sorts of earth, wind, fire, air, all the Avatar things are happening right now in that earthquakes and fires and all of that, but we're resilient and we're pushing through. And I'll be sharing a little bit about myself today. This first poem that I have is super near and dear to my heart, and I hope that you all enjoy. One second. My computer is lagging. Great. Technical difficulties in this new era. That's okay. Okay, hopefully there's no lag. I grew up in Little India, child of Pioneer Boulevard, where every shopkeeper on the block knew my name. For over 30 years, my family owned a store called Bombay Spices. I am 14, sitting behind the register, ringing up a white woman. She says, "Wow, you speak really good English." I smile, take her money, and reply, "Thank you." What she meant: I speak my colonizer's tongue better than my mother's. There's ache in that. My mouth is a desert of guilt, shame, privilege. But it got me into college, got me speaking this good English. I am the result of an arranged marriage. My mother's ticket out of a village trying to quiet her rage. When she immigrated here, my grandparents feared that she would steal all the money in the cash register, leave my father, and start a life of her own. To gain their trust, she got pregnant. She was 21, living in a country that turned her name, Jasveer, into Jessie. Her accent, a stubborn stain for the cleansing. She balanced ESL classes while running the shop, breastfeeding her child, and learning to drive. I am 6 years old when I correct her English for the first time, and she responds, "Thank you." I rid my mouth of mama, replace it with mom, with eye roll, with, "If you wanted me to be more like you should have stayed in India." But she didn't want me to be more like her. She wanted me to have everything that was denied to her. Lecture halls and mimosas, boyfriends, nail polish. She wanted me to have a choice in whom I marry, what language I speak, at what age I decide to have a child. In 2016, she took me to India for the first time. Every house in the village knew her name. She, the one that got away, the prize of the people, their praise turning every room she entered into a temple. I am a continuation of my mother. I write to immortalize her sacrifices. I am the product of her defiance, the student of her hustle, proof of her survival. I don't get my anger from her. I am her anger, her amplified rage. To the white woman at the register, fuck your good English. Mama and I, we are our own language, something you can't wrap your tongue around, even if you tried. So hopefully y'all know a little bit about me, and can I have a thumbs up that there isn't a stall? Perfect, love it. So yeah, that's my mom's journey, which is very much linked to my own. I have a line in there that says that I'm a continuation of my mother and that I write to immortalize her sacrifices. And I'm currently obtaining my MFA in poetry. It's something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. And this COVID season is actually very good for being in grad school. And it has me writing a lot about that relationship with my mom, and not only my story, but how my story is connected to hers, and the fact that I have certain privileges because of my American upbringing. But I mean, it doesn't undo a lot of this generational trauma to undo. So a couple of poems just about that same thing, kind of continuing on the notion of being a brown girl in America. This is called Stolen Thing. I am at a Leon Bridges concert, and the two white girls in front of me are singing all the lyrics to Brown Skin Girl. I watch the tall one trace her fingertips across ivory arms, move like the song was made for her. She doesn't touch me once, but is stepping on my toes the entire damn time. I want to scream, "Let me have these 3 minutes," but I stay quiet. A theater with frivolous hearts ill play for rage with my complexion. Still, I think, how can you appropriate my joy? Do you see how I am a stolen thing? How nothing I love will ever be mine? This is called assimilating tongue. Mama likes to remind me that no matter what I dress like, sound like, no matter what I eat, all of me still belongs to India. She calls my sassy English a costume, describes me as a tree with no roots, asks, "Who are you?" as if her hands weren't the first to hold me. I want to reply, "Don't you see, we were transplanted into American soil. Foreign flowers do not grow here." But instead I say, "Ma, if you wanted me to be more like you should have stayed in India." Something in her breaks, and I shrug. This is where my tongue betrays me most. In Punjabi, the first language that I called home, we do not dare speak to our mothers this way. So I mentioned in this first poem, there's actually a callback in this one of the lines that I just said, that is in the Good English poem as well. But I mentioned in that poem that in 2016, I went to India for the first time. And it really, really transformed my relationship with my mom, with myself, and just like the full scope of my identity. But it was not that eat, pray, love experience that some people will make it out to be. It was really heart-wrenching in a lot of ways. And I mean, great things came out of it. I got some writing done. And this here poem is something that I wrote after kind of having a panic attack while shopping for clothing. And so, I mean, if anyone's ever shopped in like Ludhiana, which is a city in northern India, it can be very chaotic, very hectic. And I was kind of in a place where I didn't speak Punjabi, which is my mother tongue, as well as I should, in order to communicate with everybody around me. And so, yeah, I mean, it left me with a lot of feelings. So without too much of an introduction, this is called Punjab, which is a region in northern India, and I am Punjabi. If the shop owners weren't speaking so fast, I wouldn't have had the panic attack. Mom shakes her head at everything. Roshanbai tosses another suit into the mountains of silk and sequins and thread and stitch and ache. All I have to do is choose. That is always my problem. They don't ever say you can take the girl out of America, but you can't take, you should. And I hate it. How they can smell the English on my breath. If I could strip the precious from my tongue, I'd give it to the girl with the missing tooth who came knocking on the car door. She called me Didi, which means sister, and my first words were sorry. I gave her 100 rupees, which is really nothing. Later, Mom made fun of me with her sister, and I could only understand the laughter. My family here thinks I am quiet, too shy to say, I hate showering with a bucket and would much rather be eating pasta. They are wrong about so much. In my language, there is no word for love in the past tense. I don't know how to explain the silence that follows heartbreak. I don't know how to say, there was a boy who could not pronounce my name with the accent of this village, and I loved him. My fingertips are cold, and I smell like tree bark, and for this, so I don't wear makeup or earrings or let my hair down. For the first time in my life, I'm not trying to impress anybody. This isn't even a poem. But I still pretend that I'm him, and I read these lines back. I change a few words. Try not to sound like a brat. If that was the point of 6 weeks in India, I get it. Still a brat. I don't even know the definition of brat, but there's no Wi-Fi, so I can't look it up. I've only ever belonged to myself, and if I had any choice in the matter, I'd give it up to belong anywhere else. So that's the end of my very somber poem. A lot of feelings, kind of existing in this middle ground. Yeah, that made me sad, y'all, but we're not trying to be sad. We're not trying to stay in our sad girl feelings. When I wrote this, I was very much heartbroken, so I was working through not having the language for expressing myself, not only to my loved ones, but to someone I was in a relationship with at the time. And I read a lot. I read a lot about relationships. And one of the hardest things about COVID actually has been not being able to travel as much as I'd like not being at Tufts University in person right now. That's difficult, but thank you all for being here virtually with me. And I do get some of my best writing done when I am moving, like just inspired by movement, whether I'm on a plane or I'm on a train or I'm on a bus to a different city. I feel so, so, so inspired with movement. And in 2018, towards the end of it, I went on my first solo backpacking trip to Central America. So I did all the countries in Central America, and I went by myself. Probably one of the most terrifying things I've done, but that trip was very much inspired by needing to put myself in a vulnerable position in order to take risks, right? Like I wasn't taking risks when it came to love, wasn't taking enough risks when it came to my career, and I needed to just switch up the scenery. And I wrote this next piece called Solo Backpacking / Fever of Want after asking someone that I was in love with to come with me, and then they didn't. So I envisioned a scenario in which they did, and we'll probably be doing the next few poems about this person because that's where my heart's at right now. So if y'all are in this with me, be in it. And if you are going through any type of difficult romantic situation, you're a bomb, you're the shit. That's all I gotta say. Okay. Don't let anybody take your power. Okay, that's all. My poems do better talking than I do, so I'm gonna let the poems talk. Parque Central is like Disneyland. Tourist saturated, glittering streets, a chorus of trees. I'm at a table for two in a small coffee shop in Antigua, Guatemala, reflecting. 6 days ago, we sat across from each other in mid-city, ate savory waffles with maple butter and strawberries. You said, so, backpacking? I said, join me. In this version of the story, you do. We are at a table for two, small coffee shop in Antigua, Guatemala. I kiss the center of your palm, the gentle of your stay. You catch all my worry. I buy every vibrant thing in this city and rename it after you. We dream in hues of turquoise, pink, red so bright it puts blood to shame. I glow from the inside out, take an axe to the root, set up shop on the corner. Sell my last name for 3 quetzales. I unwear myself, set every hand-me-down on fire. Forget the address of every place I've lived, tattoo each zip code on my feet. You pocket my contradiction like change I throw in a fountain. We make wishes on mistakes and Christmas lights. I frame your smile in candlelight. We make new blood. We forgive. Oh, I forgive. Everything I've lost comes back to me. The dead come back. We skip each Father's Day until you're my baby daddy. Fast forward through the ache. Rewind just to savor the ache. It is uniquely ours. We claim our duty to live good. So good, we never forget to be honest. I never have to force myself to write. I remain bright and bold. Mi mamá vive en mis ojos. I pray for the Ganga in her tears to vanish, for all 3 languages on my tongue to balance. My Punjabi never apologizes, even when the Spanish comes more naturally, even when English washes away it all. It takes no prisoners. It drives the car. It is my passport to privilege in every city. I never feel far from home. I cry freely. I cry in your arms. You hold me like breath, like a wish I made on the tunnel to LAX. You choose me. A lifetime of flight, your hand holding mine, no space between us. Our palms so close, we make a small sun from our warmth. Call it home. So I never did find home with this person, but I did find home within myself. And I've been nurturing that relationship as much as I can under the circumstances that we're in. So, I mean, as much as I love to write about love, I also do practice self-love. And this next poem, actually, I think I need to plug in my computer. Another technical difficulty of this era that we're in, because obviously if this was an in-person setting, I wouldn't be having to charge my computer. So bear with me. I have to charge my computer. I have to charge my computer. I'm in the middle.
Oh, okay.
Okay, no problem.
Charge it.
Okay, perfect. So we are moving indoors now. for the rest of the evening. I love it. It's great. Okay. Wonderful. Now I don't have to worry about my computer potentially dying on me because I had enough to probably last me, but I didn't want to risk anything. And because there is a part of myself that's just, I'm beating myself up here for not already having my computer charged. I'm gonna read a poem about self-love, something that reminds me to just be easy on myself because we're trying our best out here during these trying times. All right, this is an older version, but let's get into it. This is called Brown Girl Glory. Mama sprinkles cayenne pepper into our blackberry tea to remind me where I come from. Our history burns at the back of my throat, but I swallow it whole. I've been dancing with spices since age 6, wore bangles on my wrist and flick. Today, I am sacred text that only few can read. I am drunk on my own sobriety. I pour a little moonlight into bath before bed, wake up with the solar system in my skin. I am the sun. I am every planet. I orbit around my damn self. I am backless satin, sun-soaked skin, and brown girl glory. I see powerful women sip lemonade from resurrection and observe the holy. No, it is not mine for the taking, but my God holds hands with your God, says, Namaste, the light in me honors the light in you, which is to say, the melanin in me honors the melanin in you. That's a fun little one. That one makes me feel good. Now, I want to read some more recent stuff. I have been writing a lot, especially in this MFA process, and I've had like a whole set list in place for the last several years, and a lot of those poems were slam poems. And I haven't done too many slam poems in my set. I'll be finishing off with a banger. Who am I to call my own shit bangers? Like, I shouldn't do that. But it's my baby. Like it's the one slam poem that I feel like is a guaranteed good score if I want to be competitive. But for the most part, I haven't been writing in that style. And I'm learning to just appreciate my writing differently and let the images do more of the talking. So this next piece is something that's a lot more recent. It's about the same person that backpacking poem was about. Maybe it's just like a little bit more sassy. We're gonna get into it though. See y'all, I'm getting a little bit more comfortable. I was a tad bit frazzled, I have to be honest. Operating off of PST while knowing you're on EST. What is time? Really, what is time? Also now I'm indoors and I actually have an audience. The people that are in this house right now, instead of quarantining myself outside as I do this, and having an in-person audience is very, very helpful. Okay, so this next piece is called Salud. Let's get into it. I should have known better than to love a self-absorbed, app-building, hair-obsessed white guy. I'm sitting on a large windowsill in a just-opened juice bar we've never been to. I'm really digging the tile in this place. It's fucking rad. It's black and white and triangular. It intersects, doesn't ask to be anything but its ceramic self. You used to say I was everything. To be clear, everything isn't about you. This is an adoration of the potted plants hanging from the ceiling and a nod to the neon pink sign that says cheers to your health. It's an ode to the barista with the guava colored hair and high-waisted 80s jeans complete with a black belt. This is a song to the pretty watercolor painting of a girl gazing. Each stroke is a dedication to her gorgeous arm tattoos. This is a love letter to the solemn brick and the rainbow flag blowing in the wind. This is about Long Beach. You took me for a piece of decor when I am an entire gallery. The intricate tile to your boring eggshell walls, the black cumin and dark red saffron powder that never graced the roof of your mouth. I am specific. I am far too resilient to be vague. If I wasn't already so masterpiece, this would have gotten messy. You would have woken up to an orca crying in your ears, acrylic paint under your nails, my scent in your hair. It would have been the color of flamingo feathers and turmeric, retro graffiti on 4th Street. You would have risen to the haunt of me, my mouth stretched into a wide smile, teeth showing. Now that's that. That's new shit. So in slam, we say new shit when something is new. I'm wondering if I should stay in these fields, if I should stay talking about this person. No, I'm getting some reinforcement from a girl over here that we're moving on to bigger and bigger things. So I've been living in Long Beach now for 3 years. I love, love, love this city. It has my whole heart. And if anything has really saved me, it's been friendships and family. And I mean, not unrequited love, right? Because when is that ever going to make me feel good about myself? And this little tiny poem, something that I've written recently, is very much about coming home to myself and coming home to my roommates who are super, super healing for me. Both very dear friends. And this is called Skylight. The apartment I've been living in for the last 3 years has a skylight and a balcony. Honorable prisms, 2 faithful portals to shifting fluff and blue. You'd think I'd pay more than $600 a month for this generous landscape, but Vanessa found courage to love Michael, and now we split rent 3 ways. I'd much rather write about everything that doesn't hurt, nourishing the curl with coconut oil, painting my broken toenail in shimmery rose gold, the sweet welcome of pear and coriander, the green I crave, the spider I decided not to kill simply for the company. I'd much rather warm my way up to the suffering, light a candle, sprinkle cinnamon in my hazelnut latte, wash every coffee mug in the sink, commend myself for seasoning last night's chicken so good, I thought I could be a mother, capable of feeding beyond myself. So that's that. Something I've been thinking about a lot lately, not necessarily becoming a mother. I'm not quite there yet, but feeling like I might have the capability to be a good one because I can fill other people. I mean, it's not about cooking. It's not about making food. It's just about being able to sustain myself and sustain beyond myself. And I felt a lot more equipped to do that lately. So I'm writing happier poems, which is good. I think we're on a upward trajectory. I have 2 more poems for you all. The last one is what I called my self-proclaimed child of slam poetry. And for those of you who don't know, there is a slight difference between, I think, like writing intentionally for the page and writing to be scored in a poetry slam. And I did slam poetry for years competitively, starting in college. And you choose 5 random people out of the audience, get a score on a scale of 1 to 10, use decimal points to avoid ties. And each poem has a time limit of 3 minutes. And so the constructions of those poems are a bit different. The energy is a lot different. And slam will always have like a very, very precious place in my heart. And I keep the poems that I wrote for that specific time in my life in my sets as well, because it adds that variety. And it's also an aspect of my story that needs to be told. But this next piece, the piece before the final piece, is called 2020 A Selfie. It's following the trajectory of like the MFA poems that I'm writing currently. And I mean, it's very much about the now. It's only getting longer because 2020 just like keeps on coming up with more and more things to write about. And so, yeah, I'm looking up the poem actually right now. Is this the one? Is this the one? This isn't the one. If anybody saw my desktop and the amount of tabs that are open right now, you would be embarrassed for me. It's like all the tabs in my brain. Okay. 2020 A Selfie. And my computer's lagging. Oh boy. Perfect. It's up. Wonderful. The last poem I have memorized, so there will not be technical difficulties unless my brain has a technical difficulty. Okay, so 2020 and selfie. I don't have words beyond wanting and honey, bunches of votes. Hand sanitizer, a dusty pink backpack, 2 shades lighter than my peony pink mask. My therapist cried in our Zoom session on Saturday. Said, "It seems you had to lose a parent to gain one." Cue her tears. I'm bored of being a vacuum to weep into. I yearn to be salt and solvent, curing my own PTSD. I flinch at the blare of men and memory and whoever the fuck keeps blasting fireworks into asthmatic sky. This morning, I went to get COVID tested and danced in my car to a playlist called Viva. And for 15 minutes, nothing mattered but my distinct unraveling, my out-of-pitch falsetto, my arms twisting like ribbons desperate for touch, my body hair unshaved, unwaxed, unloved, untouched, fighting for praise like a prideful firework. It's only 1:22 p.m., so who knows how the day will morph, if the caffeine in my cup will revolt, which ailment will claim a contaminated victory. I sanitize daily, but I don't pray enough. I refresh Twitter, but I don't check in with my rhythm or my grandma or the ways in which they're both the same. I'm tired of saying I don't have all the answers. I would like at least one answer. The boy living in New York who I met at a show on the Lower East Side, who loves me so good, that boy. Is he worth loving? I don't want to take chances or hope for the best. This year drained all the risk out of me. 2020, you fucking bitch. You gratitude withholder. You scornful mother. You mirror. You terrifying selfie. Flaw magnifier. Indoor reptile. Fangs and fuss. Night terrors and midnight hiccups. You bring the evil out of me. Press every want back down my throat and tell me to choke on it. 2020, you ruthless, vigorous, unrelenting hoe. You got me selling feet pics again. 2020, you're kinky and kind of TMI and harbor more humor than I give you credit for. You force me to look at this interior and accept it. You give me time. So much I don't know how not to wallow and grieve. So much that I've relinquished my own dreams I don't want beyond what's necessary. How sad? How liberating. I stopped believing in more and found today. So that's that. And it's very true. I really did stop all of this wanting, like all the insatiable want, all the fever of want, and focus on what is within my control right now in this moment. And I mean, practicing that and also practicing gratitude, all these little things that I remind myself to be grateful for, from my grandma to my feet pics, like to be completely honest, to being able to make my money how I can. Like these are things that I need to, on one hand, accept about myself, love about myself, and on the other, be happy and grateful for. And this year has really taught me to do that. So love to everybody who is potentially going through it. I know I keep saying, making little remarks here and there about these trying times, because it's really, really difficult not to. It's difficult not to acknowledge the fact that we are in a virtual setting right now. So much love to everybody that is in school. I have a little brother who's in his 3rd year of university, undergrad, and I mean, it's rough. It's rough taking all of your classes online and not being taught, like just turning in assignments and really not having that face-to-face learning that is so necessary for growth. And for artists that are out here, like really trying to grind, I mean, it's difficult to not have that in-person connection, to look someone in the eye and inspire them to be who they are. And I know that's like a really basic thing, but if there's anything that I want my poetry to inspire for other people, it's to just be unapologetically yourself and to not hold back when telling your story, because it can connect with other people. I mean, I have pushed myself to do that in every way possible, from, you know, even choosing to be a poet in the first place, because I mean, definitely growing up in an immigrant household, I was pushed to do something a lot more secure. But I've made this work for me and I love it. I love it so much, more than anything in the world. And so this last poem that I've now been like leading up to so much that I like need to kill it, and I will. This last poem kind of encompasses all of that. It really encompasses why I do what I do, and all the different factors that contribute to my identity. So without further ado, y'all have been awesome. I can't see your faces, but I can feel your energy and it means the world. And even though we are doing this over Zoom and this is a slight adjustment, it still is the most fulfilling feeling. So just thank you so much. I'm gonna do this poem and be out. I wonder if y'all, there's a little dog below me right now. And I'm trying to stand up, or I'm trying to reposition myself. Wonder if you should see the dog. There she is. This is definitely a perk of virtual things because you wouldn't be able to see a cute dog. Okay. The first time my grandma was given an iPhone, she held it in her hands and said, "Ekia." I said, "Darima, this is an iPhone." So she continues to inspect it in her hands like a ripening mango and eventually decides that it tastes good. Turns out her favorite function was Siri, probably because she sounds familiar. Growing up, I got used to hearing the women in my family repeat phrases like, "Sorry, I didn't get that," or "It's your opinion that counts." See, there's a reason why the Siri on an iPhone has a woman's voice. She only speaks when spoken to. Just me on a stage is an act of defiance, is a place I am but shouldn't be. When people ask me where I'm from, I respond, "Here," to which they say, "No, but like, where are you from?" I'm from here. I am from my mother's silence. I am the hyphen between Indian and American, a border splitting myself in half. In America, I am a foreigner. In India, I am a foreigner. My grandfather was a refugee twice. His survival story folded into the layers of his turban. His 3 sons, terrorists. My mother, the wife of a terrorist because she is only ever a wife. And my father, only ever a terrorist. When people call my family Al-Qaeda, I forfeit my fuck you to fear. Shut up like they want me to. Tell me, how is this not violence? I am generations of men forcing their way into my complexion. My hands are flags, waving at the same men who conquered me like a country that never intended to belong to them. And isn't that how I lost my voice in the first place? Because Jado me boldiyan sare menu nahi samajhte. And just like that, in 16 syllables, I am a stranger. And if you're not supposed to speak to strangers, and I only speak when spoken to, it's no wonder why getting up in front of a mic feels a lot like breaking through my mother's silence, like the inanimate object in your back pocket finally stopped apologizing. One of Siri's default answers is, "Who I am is not important." I am important. I am a revolution rising from underneath the American dream. I am everything that has tried to silence me. I am a wolf howling at a moon that will never howl back at me, which is to say, this country will not answer my prayer. This country does not speak the language of my God. This country would kill my God because she wears a turban. This country is a place I am, but I'm afraid to be. This poem is proof that I am here. When people ask me where I'm from, I will still respond, here. I mean, wasn't Columbus looking for India in the first place? Thank you so much. Like I said, y'all are lovely. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I see the little clapping hands emoji. And yeah, that's about all. If you want to follow me on social media, My Instagram is at Aman K Bakra. So that's AMANKBACRA. And that's all for me tonight. Thank you so much.
Okay, sorry for taking a second. Anyways, I feel like after that last poem, we needed a moment anyways to recollect ourselves. I had chills. Thank you so much, Amon. Like, I feel like a lot of your poems like definitely resonated with me, especially the ones about self-love, getting over heartbreak and stuff like that. Just stuff that people our age, any age, can really relate to. So I thank you for coming on tonight and sharing your experiences and your powerful words with us. Okay, so for those of you who are still with us, we have one more performer. His name is Yao Churamitin. I've been practicing pronouncing his name because I also am Ghanaian, as well as you'll see he is when I introduce him. But I just didn't want to be disowned by my family, so I'm glad I've downpacked it. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce him really quickly. Yao is a Ghanaian artist residing in Los Angeles. He is a writer, educator, and author of poetry, the poetry collection Unveiling the Trauma. He's an activist and advocate who connects to his audience through poetic storytelling on topics related to identity, family, and immigration. Yao is a 2011 National Collegiate Speech and Debate runner-up and poetry interpretation. 2017 Individual Word Poetry Slam finalist, 2018 Individual World Poetry Slam finalist, 2018 Exit 36 Poetry Festival champion, and 2018 National Poetry Slam runner-up. Yao is currently a professor and director of speech and debate at Concordia University, Irvine, but he also finds joy in being a professional laugher and dancer with a specialty in Afrobeats and West African tribal dance. On stage, Yao becomes his stories, channels every word through time and space to give the audience a cathartic experience. Okay, please give me, I don't know, you guys are virtual and you can't see, but please welcome Yao to the stage.
And anyway, you check them on our motor saying, Obia, Etimin I'm thumbs up, bro. Obia, Etimin, okay. Miss me, church, I'm going to say, because I'm making a motive. And then I can't focus on the Yamaka how she probably been there one time said in the Patrico Tomo. Me say, someone said there and the Patrico Tomo. She said, Obia, her it's been less than a minute and you already seem so lost. This African just put a curse on me, maybe. You deserve it. For all immigrant bashing lately. I speak in a tongue twisted in the language of my ancestors, and you sit home confused, trying to make sense of all this, whatever it is you're feeling. No, this is customary for us, foreigners, striving to in your soil, but here at home, I manufacture territory on my own, all gold coated on the side of the coast. If you don't understand, I suggest go back to where you came from. Perhaps find a poetry where you make stipulations, standard English only, edit our grievances into an abstract, build a concrete wall, rewrite the Statue of Liberty poem, whatever it takes to deep fry this skin into something so vile, you can scoop us out of the melting pot, then call us lazy, you who enslaved a whole race to do work you didn't do. You feel alienated? That's okay. I will call you alien or illegal because your ears feel foreign in my native tongue. You came here to escape. I know all too well what it's like to enter a new home with more baggage than luggage and still be expected to triumph, smile, laugh along the humor. You find our torment, say it's just jokes. A joke to work harder than anyone on the block and still be denied, deemed inadequate, It's a joke to lose life in the pursuit of a job you don't want in the first place. No, I will not call you disgusting or beast or anchor baby or animal from shithole country, America. When you come to our countries, step foot onto my homeland, Ghana, we baptize you in leg water, your blemish covered in kente cloth. We feed you fufu and cotton quine so you can find a glimpse of what it means to be full of kinship and royalty, and somehow you don't know how to return the fur except return our bodies back on fire. Yes, see, or being found inside and to be a numu, not on tiffy. If you can't fathom the language I speak, maybe that is the point. Perhaps take a few steps back. Try seeing the immigrant body, hear its moan, how it is the only thing prone to first-degree burns when touched by ICE agents, deport our charred remains, and still we reassemble into survival. Watch how we sustain this body, ashes to ashes. And come on, free or sure. What's up, y'all? What's up, everybody? My name is Yao. That was Akan language in Ghana. So, you know, there you go. That's the poem. My name is Yao from Ghana, West Africa. I do poems for a living now. It said that I'm the former speech and debate coach and professor at Concordia University of Irvine. I quit that job to be a full-time artist because I got tired of working for the white man. So there's that. So now I'm just doing my own thing. I'm working on a book. I am working on some tracks. I'm doing an EP, all that good stuff. So if you follow me on IG, you can get a scoop of when the book comes out and all that. So there is that. Can everybody hear me? Are we good? Perfect. All right. So I'm gonna do a poem called "Who Am I?" Started from the "Who Am I" challenge. So here you go. I'm just gonna go into it. So who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Is not just a question of who I be or what I believe, but a quest in how I breathe. So hear me when I say, although you took my breath away, I did not fall for you. Not death do a part for you or anything that tried to break me. I am breakable, but I know how to put myself back together. Call me creator, configurator, transcend earth, birthed an alternate universe where destiny fulfills, raised a fortified utopia and planted it in my respiratory system so my lungs never forget to inhale now or exhale tomorrow, knowing everything will be okay. I am okay. Most days, I am the sky. I star in my own movies, never the secondary character. I am not what you think I could be, not what your pastor says I should be. I am an imperfect relationship with a God that takes me as I am, not yours to eat. So cross me off your grocery list. Cut me out the categories you placed me in and replace me in a mirror. You love to tear apart another man's flesh. So here you go. Cast the first stone and crack at your own command. Outrageous. How easily we become our own distraction, a viral distraction. But let me not, let me brag. I go way back. I go way back like djembe drums and tribal dance. I am footwork of the ancestor whose groove, choreographed in pain, still feels all gain as he moves his limbs to the tune of war cries. And ain't that a whole mood? Tell me, I'm a whole mood, cool. Call me classy or classic. I am classical elements tattooed in my body, just saying I am the fire I spit. When I talk, I air goodness and good vibes and hope you watch me. What a slide into your DMs and unearth joy out of your cheekbones. Shit, I air cheekbones. I chew to chisel this jawline. So don't ask me if I want more food. No, I'm just into chicken bones. Lord have mercy on these souls. I am so soft you will think I was gone with the wind. I am the wind. The weather before the forecast spells on storms that try to destroy me. I am the ghost that haunts me in nightmares I conjure to convince myself maybe I am the devil or danger or dying. They say we're not strong. I say, you're right. I am not strong. I am strength. Waiting to be lifted like Jesus. I break bread with the broken and watch myself resurrect out of myself. Once, a stranger told me, you're everything. Said, I see you everywhere. Said, teach me ways. But you can't teach nobody to be godlike, and that's the thing. You just gotta be, you know? You just gotta be. Therefore, I am. So that's the poem. It went, you know, the challenge went viral online and everyone's doing it. So I was like, let me try to do it. And it was actually really, really nice to write in a style that was not my own. So I went to school I think it said in the Bible, I went to school in Iowa, right? So I migrated to the US in 2007 to New York. And then I went to school in Iowa for 6 years. I did both undergrad and master's there. I majored in biology, French, and whiteness. It's like what I like to tell people, because that's just what it was. So I understand whiteness just by living with white folk and experiencing white folk everywhere, being the only Black person everywhere, at church, in class. There's like, there'll be a class with like over 300 people, and then it will be 2 Black people, me and my brother. So when I say I majored in whiteness, like I majored in whiteness. So when I just migrated, people would ask me all sorts of questions. You know, it's college and folks are meeting Black folks for the first time, you know? And people ask me all sorts of questions like, you know, do you live on trees? And usually like they're not trying to be racist, right? You know, like I remember I used to work at KFC and this girl was like, do you know, like, I just want to know, like, I don't want to sound ignorant, but like, do you guys like have houses? Like, how does that work? I'm like, oh my God, like this is crazy. People will actually, you know, like don't know. And like, why don't you know? Like Google knows. Like Google this shit. Anyway, so people ask me questions like, you know, do you live in trees? Like, have you killed a lion before? I'm like, no. Have you? So I introduced myself to this white guy, right, in Iowa. I told him my name is Yao, and then he said, "Oh, what a cool name! How do you spell that?" I said, Y-A-W. Y-A-W. And then he said, oh, you mean y'all? I meant y'all. Like, what the fuck? Like, I said what I said. When you spilled your name onto my tongue, I did not sweat. I spit it back out just the way you wanted. So why did you regurgitate mine to what you thought was right? In fact, when you introduce yourself to me as Aaron, did I look at your dumb ass and say, do you mean Aaron? And what made you think that you could question the pronunciation of my name? Do you feel much entitled? And who taught you it was okay to feel this way, to act this way? Did you learn this oppressive behavior? Was it ingrained in you, passed down to you by your white ancestors? Did they provide you with a handbook, 25 ways to displace a Black body? Step 1, question their identity, strip name, make them forget their worth, their heirs, their roots. Well, guess what, dude? As much as it may feel like it, this is not the 1600s. Our bodies do not belong to you. They are not for you to slit and twitch. Our names are not for you to fix and switch around whenever you please. We will not succumb to your oppression, whether blatant or subtle. Question my identity again, and I swear to God, you will not be ready for what is yet to come. Because what you do not know is that I, Nana Yao Osafo Kantanka Chematin, come from a long line of West African warriors known as the Akan people, who created a naming system to establish peace and unity amongst its people, and decided that all Thursday newborns will be named Yao. So yes, there are a multitude of us, birthed and bred in a plethora of tribes, such as the Baule tribe, the Bono tribe, the Wassa, the Fanti, the Achim, the Achi, the Ekuapem, the Ashanti tribes, and we are soaked in the blood of our Black African ancestors. Yasantua, Okonfuanoche, and Samusa, Yesanimuni, na, and together we will vanquish anyone who dares disrespect our lineage. So why don't you question my identity again? And this time, we will not let you convince us to trade our African brothers and sisters for your white Jesus. This time, if you think without permission, we will not sit and watch. We will chase after you. Back that which belongs to us. Make sure you're not doing some fucked up shit on some faraway land. So let's try this again. Erin. Hi. My name is Yao. So that's the poem. I still do about all the experiences I go through that are like racially, motivated. Naturally, I'm an introvert, so usually when things happen on the spot, I'm like, let me just go get my thoughts, because this was a lot, right? So most of my poems are like that. But we're gonna take a different route. Okay, so I'm sure, if not all of you, most of you have seen Black is King. If you don't like Beyonce, that is your problem, and you should deal with it. So this is a poem about Beyonce. So we're gonna do a poem about Beyonce because she is Beyonce and she needs her credit. So I am watching Black is King, and a Black woman appears in all her glory, warns all other planets to listen to the song erupting from the depth of earth. A Black woman sings, and the sun smiles, and your sons smile, and the stars soprano at the sound of her voice. I am watching Black is King, and it is crystal clear that Beyonce is doing the Lord's work, which means all you Beyonce haters work full-time for the devil. An ode to Beyonce. Coming to you live from Queen Bee's Hive, because we're tired of your bullshit, talking unsolicited opinions. Say she this, swear she that. Now they say she's not Black. All right, haters. Now let's get information right from the start. I know you know of her ancestry. Her family tree stems from roots. Seed of the first woman, descendant of the Black women, prophesied a world where a Black girl worship for her gift and grace. Behold, the reign of Beyonce. Praise be her majesty. What a divine prophecy. Damn right. I'm talking about destiny. Put some respect on her lineage. Yeah, don't pick up her book if you're just going to skim pages, misinterpret paragraphs. How are you trying to read Beyonce and don't even know how to read? Between the lines, on her thigh lay offspring, her womb, children of gods. What are the odds? The race in songs and psalms, while she simultaneously juggles hard work and passion for the world to feed. Babe, be bold, boss, Black Jack, queen of all trades. She's the best thing you never had. Yeah, you hungry, vicious vultures. The hour of devour is here, you beast. Go ahead, pray on her head, but you best pray for forgiveness, because like Jesus, she will come back like a thief in the night. Brand new album in sight, drunk in love and full of light. You try to hold her halo. Remember the walls she built, how she tumbled them down without a sound for you to be crazy in love with her vast cosmic crown. She don't panic at your poking. She be Titanic tucked in titanium steel. No amount of iceberg can break or sink her ship. She be kinship, can chip her skin, burn or bound her in sin. She be brown skin girl, smooth, move like she speed of light. Can't nobody run this mother like she do. You better be God too to keep up with her groove. What does a Black woman have to do to earn her heir to a throne she built with her bare hands? Who doesn't love to eat out the God in the Black woman? She is, after all, the first matriarch, giver of life, holy mother of earth's firstborn. You die and you rise, Black woman. You die and you rise and you die and you die and you die, and nobody feeds on your dying better than us. Black men, we have failed you. Forgot we came from you. Forgot how to care for you. Forgot how to carefully unfold into wool skin for your slumber. We gotta do better. We gotta heal better. We gotta be better for the Black woman. So that's the poem. Hopefully, if you were a Beyonce hater, now you're not. If you still are, that's still your problem. So I'm gonna do a couple more poems. Where's my water? Whew. I hope y'all enjoying this. I don't know how many people are on this because I'm not on the live YouTube, but if it's 100 people, that's amazing. If it's 2 people, you're best. So we're gonna keep going, okay? What should I do next? You know what? COVID sucks. And there's a lot of like questions about whether it's real or not, and people like the vaccine is coming out, and you know what? Let me just do this poem because everything I have to say is in this poem. So, just so you know, in 1814, Sarah Botman was abducted to France as fetish. Long after her exit from Earth, she existed as an exhibit, dissected for pie. Today, woke up to French doctors broadcasting a net my mother's land. Proposed testing COVID-19 on the African, the first of Black magic to call out the caucasity. Now forced apology belched from their throats like vomit says. It was just a clumsy exchange, except for mental oppression always began with a clumsy confession. I am first to be sacrificed. Thanks, greedy white ghost. Subject the African anatomy to a test we did not consent to. Now in China, African experts lie breathless, evicted from homes, hotels, hostels. This antivirus is grounds for anti-Black bodies have always been the answer to a solution that benefits everyone but us. So no, you are not allowed to touch my mother's progeny. Africa is home to the diseases that date into our duodenum. How long we've been dying? Malaria, measles, or venom vicious than the virus corona control headlines this time because its poison stings more than just Black people. Yeah, corona, colorblind, corona crucifies all hail death that has nothing to do with the color of my skin. But why does it always have to be about race? Well, maybe it is because it has always been biblical. For unto us a child is born, unto us a daughter is given, and the government shall be upon her shoulders. So, leaders of my mother's land, beware. They will come bearing gifts. Do not accept. donations are present-day name for slave trade, just another way of selling out Sarah Baartman's remains. Her brain, skeleton, sexual organs remained on display even in death. You prey on our bodies for profit. Money you refuse to use as reparations to rebuild what you stole from the Herero women of Namibia. Bones were broken into by German doctors. The African family tree is an obsession. You climb and cling to clone its back and use its bark to break its black. Off goes the greedy white ghost with his degree. Medical colonization did not stay in Africa. It too crossed the Atlantic in slave ships. It too carved scars in Annika and Lucy and Betsy. Shameful. A Black woman is always the first to be pried open. A portal we crawled through but forgot to pray to. Today, I woke up to French doctors broadcasting a net on my mother's land while they totally ignored Italy, forgot France, didn't even consider China epicenter of the virus. Their minds sailed straight to Africa. And isn't that just like the greedy? To suggest a friendly visit and leave with our belongings? Isn't that just like the greedy white ghost? To exploit Black life in the name of progress? Isn't that just like the ghost? To rinse and repeat racism regardless of repercussions? Isn't that just typical? That poem, told y'all, it was all in the whole history of the shebang. So, let's see. I have one more poem. So I told you I went to school in Iowa, the University of North Iowa, and then I used to teach at Concordia University, which also like private Christian and like still 95% white. I think Iowa was 97% white, and the percent was like mixed. So like it was just mixed international students. Black people were probably, I don't know if Black people even made 1%. So that's still kind of like Concordia University, where I used to teach. And kids are just spoiled with racism, with racism basically. There was so many things happened on that campus. But what irks me the most, because I'm Christian, you know, I'm Christian, and I just dislike Christians who think that white Christians who are at church, you're like godly and everything, but outside of church, you're not, right? Like you think of church as like white, you think of God as white, right? When the Bible says love your neighbor, right? It wasn't just like it didn't say love your white neighbor, you know. Anyway, so I got reported by a student because of how I dress. You know, there was like 7 things on the list of things I do, but you know, the one that was just like, oh, this kid is trying to get me fired, right? They said that how I dress does not conform to Christian values, and I was like, what? You know, this how I dress. It was all West African, you know, blah blah blah, just this, you know. So I was like, there are professors on campus. White professors on campus that wear flip-flops and khaki shorts and t-shirts to go teach, and they get reported, and I'm the one in your office, you know? So I was like, is there a dress code? And they were like, no. And then I was like, okay, so we're good, right? So then they were like, it's okay, just go to, you know. So I'm things that were reported. They were like, I'm rude to the Black people in class. I was like, this Black people? They said I'm rude to the Black people in class? I'm like, oh, so just because you don't get code switching don't mean that some shit is rude, you know? Anyway, So I went through all that, and they were like, you know what, just go to class and just don't say anything about it. It's fine. Just go and apologize. It's fine. And I was like, apologize? And they're like, yeah, just. I was like, okay, so when I don't usually get mad, but when I get mad, I'm mad, So I went to class and I told them everything. I said, somebody in class reported me to the dean. They told me to come and apologize, and this is me not apologizing, and we were like, ooh, and some people were upset. I could see some faces. I knew exactly who did the reporting. I know all my students like the back of my hand. I know all of them. Actually, she wanted a grade change, and I was like, you don't get a grade change. Like, you don't get a grade change. What? You don't get a grade change, and you don't go report me? Anyway. So it went back and forth, and I just wrote a poem about it. I just wrote a poem about it. I just don't like white Christian supremacy. Like it's a thing. It's a thing. Everything was. Let me just do this poem. I'm just do this poem because I'm getting carried away because I could be mad. It's like I don't dislike white people. I dislike white racist people. Right. So there's a difference. It's just too much to say white racist people. I'm just like, if it's you, it's you. Like you know who you are. You know who you are. You know who you are. Like some people are like, but not all white people. Okay, like why are you feeling the guilt? Anyway, so let me stop. I'm being hired for this. Like, they'll be like, never again. Okay. The first slave ship to arrive in Africa was called Jesus. My question is, did Jesus come to save or enslave? Honor, the Bible is the oldest book on earth. Its text, a collection of works from God spoken through scribes, priests, poets, descendants of enslaved Israelites, transplanted across oceans like scripture, translated into over 600 languages, transcribed not only by God's chosen, but by traitors, murderers, colonizers, who took the Bible out of context the way they took Black folk out their continent, spray painted, tainted scripture on our suffering, said, servant, obey your master. So we bowed our heads, not in protest, but in prayer. Heard God say, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Then why is it blinding to be Black and believer? Why ghost ride a white God to hunt Black gods? Behold, I am coming like a thief in the night. Who knew the second coming would be a trip to Africa, to ship families to the promised land of the free? Free if you fit in, free if you don't fight back, free if you forget you were taken. If my body is holy book, honor, then it is no coincidence the Bible is the most stolen, the most sold. And will truth spill out your mouth when blood spills out your hands? America, you are on trial. Here, this Bible, my body, whichever one jogs your memory, swear to tell the truth and only the truth. Do you preach about Jesus? Nailed to the concrete, calling on mother, so-called Christians upholding the name of the Lord while holding his people, call it revelations, never revolution. You boast about having read the whole Bible, but you didn't read the whole Bible if you skipped the middle passage. Tell me about the slave Bible. Tell me about the slave Bible. Oh, so now we have amnesia. Objection. 90% of the Old Testament and half of the New were heavily edited, forcing enslaved Africans to read scripture told of Joseph's captivity, but left the parts where Moses led the Israelites to freedom. Objection. Answer the question. Does God know of how you Bible study Black skin? Singing in the Atlantic like a protest song, not Jesus enough to walk on water, but Savior enough to build a nation in shackles while you rewrote these chapters out racist, rapist, body whipping, breaking, Bible thumping liar. Did you or did you not take the Bible out of context by taking Black folk out its very text? And 400 years later, still Black, still Bible only existed when Black ink met white empty pages, still leader of the free world poses in a photo op with the Bible, while Black folk are blinded by the flash or the tear gas. Nothing further. Thank y'all for tuning in and joining me. And Amen. Thank y'all so much. We appreciate y'all. Thanks, Amber.
No problem. Thank you for being here. I wonder how much our audience retention has been, but it's been a long night. All of you guys did great. But yeah, I just want to say thank you to our audience. If you're still here, and even if you're not, we'll post this online on Facebook and whatnot. And I know a lot of people marked interested for the event, so at least later they can go back and see Yao, Ayman, and Segovia's performances. That'd be great. Leave a like on the video. Thank you to the performers for being here, for being great, even virtually. That's amazing. I'm glad we got to like see you guys virtually, because sometimes we might not have otherwise seen you in person. I think that's the plus side to being on Zoom and being virtual. But yeah, it's been a long night. Thank you all for being present, and see you at the next Tuxedo.